Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SC Days, Manufacturing and Logistics, hosted by SC Future Makers and powered by Tallo. My name is Paige, and I am the host for today's event. I have the pleasure of working at Tallo as our workforce account manager, and today I will be leading us through our exciting and informative sessions. We appreciate the educators, students, and classrooms joining statewide and tuning in today to learn about these career opportunities in South Carolina. To kick things off this morning, we have Taylor Jackson joining from the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness. Good morning, Taylor.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me. Go ahead and share the screen. Let's see. You guys seeing that okay now? Okay, perfect. So as mentioned, my name is Taylor Jackson. I am Director of South Carolina Logistics, which falls under the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness. We are a nonprofit in South Carolina, and I have the pleasure of working in a really cool industry known as logistics and supply chain. So what is logistics and why is it important? So logistics is basically the process of moving something from point A to point B and all the steps through the supply chain. So it can include truck driving, it can include air freight, the big cargo ships that we see down here in Charleston, the trains up in Greer, South Carolina, and Dillon, South Carolina for the inland ports. And it's important because logistics basically makes everything move. So if you wanted toilet paper during COVID, that is all happening through supply chain. And these jobs are very important. They are expected to grow 30% in the next 10 years, which is huge. And if the last couple of years has taught us anything, it's these jobs are very stable and we are always going to need them. It offers really attractive job opportunities without always the need for a high degree. Most people, when they ask why they are in logistics and why they work within supply chain, people cite, the opportunity for international travel, the salary, the money that you can make in logistics is very high on average. The advancement that you can have within a career, really not a huge need for a high degree. There's many certificates, there's many two-year technical school certifications and degrees that work within logistics. And it's really an industry where you can have all levels. And if you work hard and you do your job well, the opportunity for growth it's really endless. So these numbers are from a 2020 economic impact study that my group has put on with Dr. Joey Von Nessen at University of South Carolina. And as you guys can kind of see here, logistics has over a $37 billion total economic impact in South Carolina. These numbers are all pre-COVID. So we are refreshing that economic impact study this year, and we'll be releasing it this fall. And I really imagine, I really am kind of predicting that a lot of these numbers are going to increase. So as you guys see here, in 2020, we had approximately almost 140,000 people in South Carolina working within logistics and supply chain. The average wage, so if you were to work for a BMW or a Walmart or a Bosch or something, a manufacturer, and you work within the logistics within that company, the average salary is about $77,000. And that's actually the national salary as well for logistics. Now, if you were to work for a freight forwarder, who's pretty much kind of, it's a travel agent for freight. So these companies are responsible for the documentation, for working with US Customs, for handling truck dispatching, for working with the shipping, working with the steamship lines. These jobs do have a lower salary wage of only about $48,000. But you can see that it's still higher than the all job average in South Carolina at $45,000. And like I said, I think these numbers, just from talking to companies lately, these numbers are really under what they probably should be. Also, what's really cool is logistics is relying on technology at a much faster pace than almost any other industry. So you can see that they've tripled their spending with technology suppliers just in the last 10 years. And as we kind of make that transition over to electric vehicles and autonomous driving, I think this number is going to grow even more. So looking at some logistics trends, as I kind of mentioned, the technology factor really is playing an important part here. We've got a number of really cool companies that are in South Carolina, such as New Forge, Fast Fetch, Gnosis Freight, POSIX. All of these companies are within the supply chain field, but they're doing really cool state-of-the-art tech and cyber, and really working with robots, which is really cool. We're also seeing a huge trend into the electric vehicle market. So as you guys can see here, there's been a number of really cool announcements within the state. BMW's expansion, Scout Motors, Redwood Materials, Envision, Bosch, Volvo, ChargePoint, Oshkosh. Benor Logistics actually is in Greer, South Carolina, and they have the state's one of the state's first electric trucks, which you guys can see here in this photo. So it runs on battery. It can do about 150 miles. So they're doing a lot of work just in and around the port up in Greer. Following on the artificial intelligence train, you can see here that artificial intelligence within the supply chain is going to be really important. It can cover a number of jobs, including data analysis, supply and demand planning, autonomous vehicles, warehouse management, and optimization. And this AI corridor is going to be a K-12 education curriculum that's being developed for AI in South Carolina. And with a really cool robot dog named here, that we actually are doing a state naming competition for him. So you can go to our website. I'll drop that in the chat as well. And your school can submit a name for him, and there's a contest and we'll pick a winner. So some education initiatives that are available in South Carolina for logistics. So my company, SC Logistics, works really closely with an organization called ACSM, and there are two programs that have been developed for one's targets about 4th and 5th grade, and the other one's for high school, but it's the Lemonade supply chain game and the cell phone supply chain game. So as you guys can see here, we've gone into about 40 schools across the state in the last few years. And these are hands-on activities where I bring in actual logistics companies to talk about their jobs, to talk about why they study logistics, why they're in logistics, and then we do a hands-on activity as well. There's a number of high schools across the state that have a logistics program offered in their CTE school. For example, I work really closely with Cooper River Center down here in North Charleston. I work really closely with Pickens Career Center in Pickens, South Carolina. They actually came down just last month for their 2nd year in a row. But we set them up with a number of tours across Charleston. So they get to see logistics. So they've seen Lineage Logistics, which is a cold storage facility where you go in, you have to wear these big coats. They have workers, working on unpacking butter and meat and chicken to then be distributed over to Walmart grocery stores. They've seen the Walmart facility, the South Carolina Ports Authority, Keon, which makes really cool forklifts down here in Somerville, Boeing, GSP Airport, just to name some. So we Also highlighted through a program called Road Trip Nation. One of the careers was logistics. So a good friend of mine from Continental was interviewed, and I worked really closely with him and University of South Carolina, which now is a top 5 undergraduate supply chain program. So it's only been around since 2007. And they're already in the top 5 in the nation for supply chain. And they have almost 100% job placement rate upon graduation for students that go into operations and supply chain. Midlands Tech also has a 2+2 pathway that leads directly into USC. Trident Tech down here has done a Trident Tech apprenticeship program for a logistics analyst, where if you are a high school student, you can sign up, you get a certificate, you get 1 year free at Trident Tech, and then they place you with a company that actually pays you for the work that you do. And there's a number of other colleges, Citadel, College of Charleston, Anderson, Spartanburg Community. So as you can see here, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, before COVID, no one really knew what logistics and supply chain was, but now we're kind of growing. And there's a lot of really cool colleges that offer this as a major, and it's a really, really cool career to have. Just wanted to kind of show some photos. So over here on the left, this is the view from the top of a crane at the South Carolina Ports Authority. Down here is in Somerville. It's Scout boats. So we got to go in and see how the boats get built. This is the Lineage cold storage facility. And again, this is just one of the, I think I was on a harbor cruise and snapped this photo of one of the steamship lines being worked on at the port terminal. Southeastern Freight Lines is a truck carrier. This is the inside of the Walmart facility. These big tires that you may or may not have ever seen on the road are Michelin tires, and they're made in South Carolina before they get exported out of Charleston. These are a number of companies that I get to work with. So as you can see here, there's a wide variety. So logistics is really in all facets. So it's in manufacturing, it's in retail, it's e-commerce. As I said, it's warehousing. And as mentioned, these salaries are really good salaries. There's a couple of new companies that are operating, and they're hiring a starting salary of $24 an hour for a forklift operator. There's drivers working for Walmart and for Southeastern Freight Lines that are making over $100,000 a year. And so it's really cool because there's not always a need for that higher education. I really do believe that it's one of the only industries that you can have any level of education. And if you work hard, you're going to be able to do really well in it. And that'll conclude my part of the presentation. Of course. Thank you, guys.
And I am putting a link in the chat for everyone for a video to find out more and watch. And I believe, Taylor, that video was of the port. Is that correct? That video? Perfect. All right. So thanks, everyone. Before we get started with our next session, which is actually going to be the South Carolina Ports Authority, I have a few technology reminders that I want to go over with you. So we're going to be kicking things off in a few minutes with that first session, but I want to drop a little bit of webinar knowledge on you. So one thing of note is that you'll see that you don't have audio and video, and your microphones, will be turned off for the entirety of the event. So if you wave or say something and we don't wave back, it's because we can't hear or see you, but we love that you're here. Each session will end with a live Q&A for the hosts and panelists. So please submit your questions in the Q&A feature, and we'll try to answer as many as we have at the end of each session. So during the session, any questions that pop up, please put those in the Q&A, and then we will answer them at the end. I want to extend a special thanks to SC Future Makers, the South Carolina Department of Commerce, and the Council on Competitiveness for making today's event possible. All right, we are going to get started with our very first session of the day with South Carolina Ports Authority. Today, we have Beverly and Omar joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. My name is Beverly Coward. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources here at the South Carolina Ports Authority. And
good morning, everyone. My name is Omar Asby. I am the Director of our Customer Solutions, which is basically our customer service department.
right. We don't have any exciting videos to show you. We're just going to talk to you a little bit about the port, but we want to thank Taylor, who did a great job showing a lot of great photos from the Port Authority. So we would end up duplicating some of that if we tried it ourselves. So thank you, Taylor, for that. And thank you for your partnership. Today, Omar and I just wanted to kind of have a conversation about the Port Authority. Taylor mentioned it a lot. It's definitely part of our supply chain here in the Southeast. The Charleston or the South Carolina Ports Authority services not only South Carolina, but our neighboring states as well. But we are located in South Carolina. We have 5 terminals here in the Charleston area, and we have an inland port in Greer, South Carolina, which is kind of near Greenville. And we also have an inland port in Dillon, South Carolina, which is north of Florence a little bit on the I-95 corridor. And you might think, now what is an inland port? And there's no water and no rivers up there, which is true. An inland port is really a train and truck interchange so that we can send containers that come in on the steamships here. We can load those onto a train, send them inland, and then the truck drivers can pick them up from the inland ports and don't have to drive all the way down to Charleston. This is especially great for the truck drivers, for time, for diesel fuel, that sort of thing that would have been consumed sending 200 trucks to Charleston, when we can send one train from Charleston with 200 containers on it to the upstate, and then they can be dispersed there to other parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, wherever they're going. So that's a little explanation of what the inland ports are. The terminals here are more focused on the water aspect, because we service, as Taylor mentioned, the steamships that come in, and we import and export using those big cranes you saw in the photo. We take containers off and on the ship, and then those containers either wait in a stack on the terminal, or a truck picks them up very quickly and takes them to where they need to go. One of our terminals is downtown. That's the Columbus Street terminal. It actually services cars. BMWs that are made in Greer, South Carolina, come down about 5 or 6 times a week on a train. They're unloaded by our employees, and then they're inspected and then loaded onto ships called roll-on, roll-offs, or we call them ro-ros, and they're sent to other parts of the world. So if you think about it, Charleston and the Ports Authority, we're an interface for the world, and that's actually one of our our taglines is the world meets here. So wanted to talk to you a little about the types of jobs we have, and then I'll actually let Omar talk in a moment. He's patiently waiting here. We have different types of careers here. If you're interested in going to college, we have careers in human resources, in finance, in logistics, and Taylor mentioned some of the programs in logistics out there. Other areas such as customer solutions, IT. There are a lot of opportunities for those that want to go to college. If you're not sure about going to college, or you definitely don't want to go to college, we also have a lot of opportunity. Most of the people that use our equipment and move the containers, move the BMWs, move everything else that comes in and out of here, they don't have to have a degree to do that. And we have great benefits. They have great careers doing those types of things. So we have opportunities for everyone. One of the most exciting opportunities we have here is for what we call skilled labor. We have an apprenticeship program through our maintenance group. And if people have a kind of an aptitude for machinery, but they don't necessarily want to go to college for a 4-year degree, we will pay you while you learn. Our mechanics and electricians, we hire them directly sometimes, but we also breed our own, so to speak, or train our own. And that we will send you through our apprenticeship program, pay you while you learn, pay for all of your school books and everything else. You get on-the-job training while you're doing that. And when you graduate, you are a certified mechanic or a certified electrician. And our current wages, starting wages for mechanics and electricians, once you're certified, is $40 an hour. So that just gives you an idea of the wages and the kind of career you can have in kind of 3 different areas. Once again, you can have a high school diploma or GED and come to the port and do certain types of jobs. You can go through an apprenticeship program or become a certified mechanic or electrician through Trident Tech or some other technical school and have a great career here. Or if you want to go to a 4-year college and get a degree in finance, IT, HR, things like that, then we have opportunities as well. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment and let Omar talk a little bit about whatever he's decided to chat about.
Oh, good morning, guys. And I just wanted to piggyback off of what Bev said. The unique thing about the South Carolina Ports Authority is that we can hire you like straight out of high school. You have no experience doing anything that we do. It's one of the few places where you can get hired with no experience. We train you up. So you can start out as operating in the yard and our yard equipment, which are RTGs. Those are the equipment we use to lift containers from off the ground onto the back of a truck driver. And you can progress through there to end up operating. I'm sure that picture that Taylor showed of being on that crane, you can eventually become a crane operator. So you can get hired off the street with no experience, and within I would say a 4 to 5 year span, you can end up being one of those big oversized crane operators, making a pretty decent salary. I would say Bev is probably going to yell at me for saying this, but we've had some of our crane operators during the COVID rush time. Those guys have cleared over $200,000 a year. And that's due to training and the skill that you learn on the job. I don't know too many other careers or places where you can do that. So that's one of the unique, great things about the South Carolina Ports Authority. And the Ports Authority is one of those rare companies to where we have a vast amount of other companies that work together to make sure that we get everyone their products. I think COVID has demonstrated the importance of the supply chain and actually how fragile it is. With speaking about one of the apprenticeship programs, during this time, we realized that with the value of CDL truck drivers. So us, along with a lot of the other local motor carriers, we've been working together to try to solve that problem. So what we're doing is we're going to start an apprenticeship program for CDL drivers. So we're going to be out there looking for 18, 19, 20-year-olds because to hire them, train them, and get them to where they can actually go out and be motor carrier drivers. Because right now, the way it works is that you have to be 21 years old in order to drive intrastate commerce with a CDL. And because of the current infrastructure bill, they created a temporary waiver, a program that allows 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to get their CDL and drive under that program. So we're trying to take advantage of that, so where we can replenish the truck drivers in the whole country, because the average age of truck drivers right now is 55 years old. And the ones that were close to retiring, COVID folks forced them out. So we're looking to young folks to sit here and try to take some of those jobs. Also, to piggyback on what Taylor said, we've got a lot of companies moving into South Carolina. To quote the mayor, well, South Carolina is open for business and business is booming. So we are always looking to try to get people to fill these jobs. And the port's trying to work closely with all the local companies to do what we can to help fill those gaps.
Very good point, Omar. Omar's correct about the fact that we can bring people in with a high school diploma or GED, and people can have a great career. One thing I wanted to mention is that what we are looking for in employees, though, because having a GED or having a high school diploma, having a degree or a certification is great, but that is not all we're looking for. We're looking for people with good attitudes, people that can work with other team members, people that will come to work on time. And you would think, well, everyone knows that, but some people have a hard time with that. And people that will come to work when they're scheduled to work. This is a 24/7 operation. And not everyone has a Monday through Friday job. A lot of people end up working nights, depending on your schedule. It's, usually, ahead of time as much as possible when we need to work overtime. But we need people that are flexible and willing to work. And so it's about the attitude and the behaviors as much as it is about the skill that you acquire when you come here. That's what we look for first, and the aptitude to gain the skill. As Omar said, we will train you, but you have to be able and willing to want to be trained and want to be part of the team.
And to go along with what Beth said, I think a lot of young people now, they're so used to being on their phones, being on TikTok, Instagram, and just being able to spend hours on your phone. If you guys can transition that dedication to engaging in social media, to just switch it to being able to engage in work, because the difference is social media is not paying you. We will. So you're paid to be here. So that's one thing I always tell young people, to get adjusted to being able to stay on a job for a long time, because you're actually getting paid to do it.
Absolutely. And running the equipment, depending on the type of equipment out on the terminal, in some ways it's kind of like a video game. If people that have good hand-eye coordination from playing video games, I mean, it's not a guarantee, but it's not like you're working a lot of muscles. You have a joystick, you have throttles to actually lift that container, that 80,000-pound container off the crane. I mean, with the crane off of the ship, you're using throttles and joysticks. That's it. And you're sitting in like an easy chair. So if you can play video games and you're good at that, you can probably run an RTG as a rubber tire gantry, and probably run a ship-to-shore crane, which, a few years later, people apply to do that. And also run an empty handler and those big pieces of equipment, because you're not having to put a lot of physical effort into it. You have to have good hand-eye coordination and be able to focus on minute details. That's really what it's about. And of course, safety is number one. Being careful out there, because it can get pretty crowded with a bunch of trucks and a bunch of other pieces of equipment and people out there. So things to think about: aptitude for safety, aptitude for hand-eye coordination, knowing that you will be dedicated to the work and want to come to work on time and when you're scheduled to work, being able to work with other people, the behaviors and the attitude, that's as important as the skill.
Absolutely. And I would think in the times I've been here, I think the greatest skill set someone can have is conflict resolution. So if you guys, if you work on and you're able to solve problems, solve conflicts, then that's great, because I see a lot of young people now walking and texting with one thumb. And if you can walk and text with one thumb, you can operate our equipment. We've got great simulators where you can sit there and it's a simulation of operating one of our huge cranes. We got the RTGs. So you can sit there and you can type with one thumb at a 1 word per second pace that you guys do. You can operate our equipment.
Absolutely. We're almost to the point where we want to pause and see if there are any questions from folks out there. Okay.
So the first question, how do you find out more about the apprenticeships?
That's a very good question. We have information on our website about that. And you can always call Human Resources. So I'm going to give the website. It's www.scspa.com. So the letters, because sometimes they don't translate well over speaker, they stand for South Carolina State Ports Authority. So scspa.com. And you go to the careers page, and there's information about all the different, you can look at open jobs. And even if we don't have an open job right now, you can get information about the apprenticeship program.
And to add to that, the CDO apprenticeship program is not rolled out yet.
Right.
So you won't see any information for that, but stay tuned. We're hoping to have that ready to roll out by the end of summer.
Right.
Well,
Right.
that actually leads perfect into the second question that came in, which is about the CDL program. So the question says, and obviously you just mentioned that you're still in planning stages, but it says, does the CDL waiver program require any college courses?
Okay, so it does, but here's the great thing about it. We're partnering up with Triton Technical College. And Triton Technical College has their CDL program. But the great thing about that program is, hopefully you guys don't tell anyone I told you this, but you can actually front load the CDL requirement. What I mean by that is that you can take the classes necessary and they get the training just to get your CDL. So you can get your CDL first and then push the class requirements to after you get your CDL. So the only thing you need to work with us is you need the actual CDL. So you can take Triton Tech and use the lottery assistant funding. Or I think right now, like a lot of
Everything's free through 2024 at
Yeah.
Trident Tech, all the tuition. I
So-
think for majority of the programs anyway.
So you can go to that program and you can get your CDL for free. But I didn't tell you that.
That's great. Next question is, how much of the industry is made up of women?
That is a very good question. I recently ran a report. As far as the industry goes, I can't really answer. I can give you an estimate, but at the Port Authority itself, we have about 960 employees. Now, the maritime community employs more like 10,000, not just in Charleston, but statewide. But of the 960 employees at the Port Authority, only 130 are women. So we have about an 8-to-1 ratio, or 1-to-8 ratio women to men. We are looking to increase that a little bit. So come on over, ladies. And we do have some ladies that run our equipment. Not that many, but they are very good at it. So it's not something that women cannot do. I mean, obviously there's not much women can't do, but don't let that impede your thought process about coming over to the Port Authority.
And I would like to add, since Beverly's being so humble, at the Ports Authority, we are at one of the few, our CEO is actually a female, and 2 of our senior VPs are females.
That's correct. And
That's-
most of them our team are females.
That's awesome. We love some women leadership. That's really cool to hear. Wanted to just add that Taylor Jackson from the Council on Competitiveness says the national average is about 40% of women, which is growing in supply chain. So that's really exciting to hear that more women are joining that field. So very exciting. Thanks so much for sharing that, Taylor.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
want
Taylor.
to ask you both to share, what is your favorite part about working at the Port Authority and working for this organization? I know there's probably a ton, but if you could pick, 1 or 2 of your favorite parts about working there, if you could share those, that would be great.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead first. The thing that I absolutely love about working at the Ports Authority, especially in my capacity, is I solve problems. So usually by the time I encounter someone, they're at their absolute worst. So they're calling in, there's steam coming through the phone, and most of all the words are not English. So they're highly upset. For me, I get so much satisfaction from taking that call, the way that I receive it, and by the end of it, that person's smiling, laughing, and being happy. So the best part of my job is switching someone up like that, taking them from being angry, upset, and irate to being happy and thanking me and thanking the Port for what we've done.
Good answer. Good answer.
It's a great skill to have too. So that's awesome.
I actually give all the credit to my mother.
Yeah. What about you, Beverly?
I think the most exciting and my favorite part about it is knowing that everything that comes in through our terminals, that comes from all parts of the world, is being dispersed to, so many different places. And I always wonder when I go to Walmart or anywhere to go shopping, I wonder if this came through our port, because most likely, if it's in South Carolina, it probably did. We service everyone, and if things break down in the supply chain, then everyone notices that. And that happened a little during COVID because of, things kind of being turned upside down. but we responded and got things back to normal as quickly as possible by working together. So just knowing that we are servicing, you know, the United States and the Southeast in particular is very exciting to me with all the goods that come through.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. We are going to wrap things up with you and take a quick 5-minute break, and then we will be back with the South Carolina Department of Commerce. So thanks so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for staying on with us. We are going to get started with our second session of the day. Joining us, we have Robert Davis from the South Carolina Department of Commerce. Good morning, Robert.
Morning, Paige. How's it going?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm going to let you take it away.
Absolutely. Going here and we share screen.
Sure. Remember, everyone, please use the Q&A if you have any questions for Robert.
There we go. So yes, thanks, Paige. My name is Robert Davis. I'm with the South Carolina Department of Commerce. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what Commerce does, what's going on in South Carolina in manufacturing and logistics, and then to answer a few questions if you have any. So first up, we have who is Commerce? Commerce is the state's sales and business agency. As you can see on your screen, our mission and vision. What we go out to do is sell the state of South Carolina in terms of promoting what is available in the state, in terms of land, in terms of opportunities, in terms of people, that being our workforce, and our up and coming workforce, that being you. So we go out and we promote and we hopefully attract investment, being jobs and dollar capital investment within your state and county. So within South Carolina, how have we done? Since 2017, we've brought more than 680 projects, over 73,000 new jobs, 27 billion in capital investment. And South Carolina has become a 21st century center of manufacturing, not just in the American Southeast, but within the worldwide. About 84% of our investment and about 62% of these jobs are actually manufacturing. Also, for a concept, while we do get to have a lot of those really fun, big new announcements like Scout, which you saw in the last couple of weeks, almost 60% of our announcements that Commerce has are actually expansions of existing companies within South Carolina. So while a lot of the headlines happen about the new projects, a lot of the work that we do is about expanding companies and helping them grow that are already within South Carolina. So as I mentioned, being a center of manufacturing with about 84% of that previous investment, that takes you to about 23 billion, about 51,000 jobs. Now, South Carolina really focuses on premium transportation. So we do automobiles, aerospace, and advanced materials. We literally make planes, trains, and automobiles within the state of South Carolina. So if you're moving, there's a chance that at least a part of that machine was made within the state of South Carolina. To give you a concept of how capital intensive and how much technology is going into manufacturing in today's world, for every about $454,000 in investment, you see one job created in manufacturing. The idea of manufacturing being a dirty process is pretty much gone. Manufacturing floors, manufacturing centers are very clean at this point in time because the technology has moved that a lot of the menial work that goes on is being done by machines. You're more operating machines and ensuring that they're operating properly. So expanding upon manufacturing leads us into distribution, because when you make something, you still have to get it to where it needs to go. And South Carolina really, literally and figuratively is the center of East Coast logistics in the United States. So logistics companies have invested over $2 billion in about 9,500 jobs within South Carolina over the last 5 years or so. And due to South Carolina's manufacturing background, we've become a center of transporting these goods, because most of the goods made in South Carolina are actually transported overseas through the Port of Charleston. Port of Charleston, now the deepest port on the East Coast, was actually this last calendar year the sixth largest port in terms of dollar value of goods handled. That's because of all the cars and vehicles and different goods that come through the state. These have high dollar value. So while we don't move as much goods as, say, the Port of New York or the Port of Philadelphia, the value of our goods are exceptional. And also within logistics, you have to think not just via water. Rail serves a very key component within logistics of South Carolina. by 2025, we're expecting to move nearly 92 million tons of goods via rail in South Carolina. Every ton of goods moved via rail is one less truck on the road and a little less traffic for everyone else. So railways represent a crucial part of South Carolina. So what does it look like when a manufacturing company invests in your community? So here are the top announcements since 2017. As you can see, these are multi-billion-dollar investments in many cases. And the smallest one in terms of your top 7 is a nearly $500 million investment. As I stated, manufacturing really is a technology process at this point. And when you see these dollar amounts in these job creations, you see how much a company is investing in a community and what they're trying to create. When we move this from manufacturing to transportation, distribution, and logistics, we see, again, large investments coming in across the state. These are investments through individual companies and sometimes through freight companies. As you can see, Walmart, DHL, and Chick-fil-A. Even your restaurants, your favorite fast food. While they cook the food and provide it to you, logistics is the backbone of those companies. They have to get their goods from point A to point B so that each store can have the amount of goods they need to be able to produce the sandwich that you want. So when we think about the things that we're eating or the things that we're riding with or the clothes that we're wearing, all these things had to be moved from wherever it was made to wherever you finally bought it. And so logistics represents the backbone of that. So what do these announcements look like? So if you go back to 2020, you see some of the top announcements across the state of South Carolina. We'll expand to 2021, and we see further growth in the upstate and the Charleston area. In 2022, we begin to see more growth across the PD, Charleston, and the Golden Corner. So the question being, how close is my local manufacturer? They're probably right around the corner. Most manufacturers are located within 10 to 15 miles of an interstate highway or of a 4-lane state highway. But what they do is they position themselves so that they're out of the way. They don't often try to draw a lot of attention to themselves outside of your instances of, say, Volvo, I-26 in Charleston, or BMW in Greer along I-85. A lot of these companies position themselves so they can quickly make those goods and through those logistics, be able to move those products through. So the good question here is, how does this impact me when I'm hearing about this? Well, a lot of these manufacturers have tons of different occupations. We think of them as a manufacturer, and so we think about the people working on the floor or running the plant. But a lot of these manufacturers have their own police and security. They have their own firefighters. They have their own medical staff. They have accountants, finance people. They have HR. Basically, every occupation or interest that you could have. A manufacturer or logistics company probably has those people on staff. You just don't think about it in that way because you think about the industry. You don't think about the occupation. So one of the things I would say is, when you're thinking about what you want to do, think about your occupation, the job, the task that you perform, and then look around at the different people who may be able to hire that or provide a different opportunity for you. An electrician can work on building a house. They can also work on new electric vehicles. They can also work in new facilities that are installing lighting. Skill sets transfer through different industries. It's finding the area and the place that you want to work and the culture that you want to be in. Manufacturers are often looking for someone that has the skills to do one thing, but would also have the interest in trying different things over time. You don't have to be keyholed into one single occupation. You could work on a floor. You could work in management. You could assist with the logistics. You can help in sales. There's a lot of opportunities for an individual. All you have to do is be interested in trying new things and be willing to put in a little work to learn those skills. So that is the extent of my presentation. I'll go ahead and open it up, Paige, if there are any questions in the chat.
Anyone else, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A right now. So the first one, they just is a statement.
Sure.
They just said, so far, information is very useful. So that's great. Thanks so much, Donna, for that. So a couple of the things, Robert, when you were going through your slide deck, the slides weren't changing from the introduction. So I think some of them, one question was just that, but one attendee asked, for you, how do you like your position working in the logistics field for commerce?
My position working towards logistics field. My background's workforce. So a lot of the things that we're trying to do when working with logistics companies is help ensure that your local technical college or whatever, say, educational institution you wish to attend understands what the criteria are the industry is looking for today, and more importantly, in the next few years. As I mentioned, in terms of like electric vehicles and different things, technology is changing rapidly. I don't really think anyone's surprised when they hear about that, but the ability to provide an individual those skills so that they can then go out and make themselves more valuable out on the market, that be you earn a credential, an associate's degree, a 4-year degree, or a simple certificate, that you have more skills and that makes you more valuable. And that allows you to earn more money, which everyone likes to do. So off of that, that's really what we at Commerce are trying to do. We're trying to ensure that everyone understands what's going on now and where things are going, so that when you attend your local technical college or wherever you decide to go, that you have the opportunity to go out and earn the money that you earn.
So for high school students right now who are thinking about that they'd like to, go into a career in logistics, what would you recommend their next steps be?
With a lot of logistics type companies, just reaching out and asking, hey, what is it that you're looking for at this moment? Most logistics type work, I think, could be done with a high school diploma. And off of that, it's kind of up to you how far you take that. A lot of employers will pay for your education if you're willing to show that you can do the work and do it well. At that point, they want to invest in you. So if you do have that interest, there are a lot of local employers who just reach out to them via an email or through Tallo or whatever resource that you have, and just say, hello, I'm interested. I'd like to learn more. And they will fall all over themselves to ensure that they can inform you as best as possible and why their company is probably the best one for you.
Yeah. All right, here we have some, let's see. Are there any, technical certifications that you think would stand out to employers in the state that you can think of, or any programs that individuals should maybe look into if they're interested?
As of right now, I would again refer you to your local technical college or 4-year. In terms of what's coming, the last 20 years have been about information and technology. We see that through the internet, investments in IT with companies. The next 20 years are going to be about energy and the ability to harness it and save it and store it or use it. So, and an individual that has an understanding and a background in electricity will have litany of options, as we just saw with Scout's announcement in the Midlands and BMW moving to EV and Volvo fully committed to a second line on EV. That we've reached the point that this is now a thing. And over the next 5 years, we're expecting an adoption rate of, 50% of cars will be sold by 2030 will be electric. So the ability to work on these cars, individuals that used to simply take a crowbar and realign your car will now have to work on a computer to figure out and debug what is going on. The landscape's changing in these areas. So your ability to work on a vehicle and deal with electricity are two skills that will be in high demand for the next 20 to 50 years.
That's great. So I know you said that a lot of what you look to do is also expand with companies that are already in South Carolina. But do you see that a lot of new companies are coming to South Carolina to open logistics and manufacturing operations as well?
Oh, sure, absolutely. As I had mentioned earlier in the presentation, unfortunately the slides did, that with about approaching 60% of announcements being expansion, that still leaves you at 40% of our announcements being new companies. And with manufacturing, those are usually high investment type, 3, 4, $500 million investments that they don't make lightly. They make them understanding they're planning on being in an area for 50, 100 years. And your logistics companies don't need to invest nearly as much usually, unless they're building large warehouses. But they are looking for highly skilled people who are capable of dealing with the movement of all these goods. You're talking about hundreds of millions of tons of goods that are out on the ocean, on the roads, all at one time. And you have to be able to coordinate all of that to ensure it arrives exactly where it needs to, exactly at the time it needs to. As we've all experienced in the last few years, logistics dictates a lot of our ability to get the things we want and how much it costs.
Yeah. Well, there are students joining and educators joining throughout the state. So I was wondering maybe if you could possibly name drop some companies throughout South Carolina that work in this industry that maybe they might not know about, or that, are big names in South Carolina for them to kind of start looking into if they're interested in going into these careers.
Well, just some of your largest logistics type companies are your DHL, your FedEx, your UPS. They operate out of nearly every airport, every area around the world, and they move a lot of goods. You have a lot of smaller logistics type companies that will work in trucking and movement of goods. Unfortunately, I don't know all those off the top of my head. In terms of manufacturing, I mean, as I was rolling through earlier, you've Redwood Materials, Volvo, and Mercedes-Benz down in Charleston area, BMW and their litany of suppliers in the upstate. You have Envision, the new BMW partnership over in Florence County that's bringing 1,200 jobs. I mean, these companies are located around the state now. The idea that it's only in a few cities anymore isn't a thing anymore. That we have large manufacturers across the state of South Carolina who are actively looking for people to fill positions right now.
Yeah, definitely. I know one of my favorite companies that's in South Carolina is Boeing, because I think how cool is it that they build airplanes right here in South Carolina is
Yes.
amazing. So, all right. Well, it looks like that is all of the questions that we have today. So we might wrap up just a couple minutes early and jump into the break. So thank you so much, Robert, for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Paige. And I hope everyone has a good day.
All right, everyone, we are going to take a quick break, like I mentioned, and then we will be back with our next session. That is going to start at 10:05, and that is with Nucor. We are going to get started with our next session with Nucor. Reminder attendees, you could use the Q&A to ask questions that we will do at the end of the session. Joining us is Russell Cook. Good morning, Russell.
Hey, good morning, Paige. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining. We will let you take it away.
All right. Get my screen shared here.
Sure.
Can everybody see that?
Yep, looks great.
Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Russell Cook. Work at Nucor Steel in Berkeley County, South Carolina. Been working out at Nucor for about 12 years now, and have a background in mechanical engineering, and been loving my time out here ever since I came down here in May of 2011. So I'll go ahead and jump right in and talk to you about the opportunities we have out here. So a little bit about who we are. We're the #1 steel producer in America. That's carbon steel. So we make steel beams, sheets of steel, rebar, plate, all different kinds. We have a high commitment to safety. That's as you can see from our mission statement on the right-hand side of the screen. Our mission is to grow the core, expand beyond, and live our culture. And what that means is for us, we want to grow our core businesses, which is our steel producing units, taking the scrap metal and melting it down in a furnace and making new steel out of it to go into all kinds of different applications that we use every day. Expand beyond is about getting into some downstream markets. So we've recently made some acquisitions. We purchased a overhead garage door company. We're getting into call it towers and structures, where we'll have facilities making utility towers for power lines, and different racking solutions for warehouses and server rooms to support all the cloud and I guess server needs that we got that are going to could just only continue to increase. So we are definitely a growing company, and at the bedrock of that, we want to live our culture. And I'll get into a little bit more into what that actually means here in a slide or two. Our challenge is to become the safest steel company in the world. So that's our foundation. And if we can't send our teammates home in the same fashion that they showed up to work every day, then we've let that person down and all their loved ones down. So we have a high value on safety centered around taking care of ourselves, taking care of people around us, and making sure our work area is safe. And we live each day with gratitude for the families, customers, and partners that make our work possible. So we have a spirit of gratitude here at Nucor, and just really thankful for what we get to do, the people we get to be around every day, and the culture is outstanding. Getting back to the left-hand side of the screen here, we are the world's largest recycler. So we take scrap metal and reuse it to make new things. And so we recycle a lot of steel and make new things out of it. We're very committed to the team, great benefits package, bonuses and incentives, tuition reimbursement if you come to work for us and decide you want to get some further schooling and something that that matches up with what we're trying to accomplish, then we reimburse that tuition up to a certain dollar amount. And in the future, if you have children that are going off to college, we also have scholarship opportunities for them, $3,000 per year for all children of Nucor teammates. And we have a practice of not laying anybody off. So there's a very, very steady steady foundation here and consistent work and something that you can be confident in and confident in having your job tomorrow. We are also a Fortune 100 company, so we're continuing to grow and expand like I detailed earlier, and we don't see any signs of slowing down. So about our culture, we have a culture of continuous improvement. And what that looks like is, everybody from the guy that just started or gal that just started all the way up to the plant manager has the opportunity to look at everything we do from a safety or process standpoint and try to make things better. And that's a foundational piece of our culture. And we want teammates that are driven, teammates that are really looking to improve themselves and develop themselves and get better and make our business more profitable and safer. We value taking care of our customers, so we take a high value in that and everyone downstream of what we do. And there at the bottom, we have a commitment to our employees, our teammates. And like I said, people who are not motivated don't last long. We want folks that are motivated and driven, and that's critical to how we function. So here's our CEO. His name is Leon Topalian. He's been the CEO for the past few years, and he started out actually here at our Berkeley County facility whenever it was being built back in 1996. So he started out as an engineer and worked his way all the way up through the ranks and became CEO just a few years ago. So that's a testament to who we are, testament to Leon for putting in the work and being willing to do whatever it takes to grow and continue to improve. A little bit more about safety. Always taking care of our customers begins by taking care of the teammates who get the job done. We partner with OSHA to do something called a VPP program. And so we don't just settle for the OSHA standards. We go above and beyond and try to make things as best as possible from a safety standpoint. This is an overview of what our plant site looks like. So you see at the top of the screen here is the melt shop. That's where all the scrap metal, which you can see in some of these piles in the top of your screen, get melted down and fashioned into new steel. Then we can either run that material to the beam mill and make our structural I-beams and channel and angle to go into bridges and all kinds of different manufactured housing, solar panel fields, all kinds of really practical applications that make our world work. And then over here you have the hot mill, which we roll the steel once it's been cast into a rectangular shape, and then we roll it down and coil it up. And this, a lot of our steel coming off the hot mill and this galv line and cold mill downstream processing units, a lot of this stuff will go into automotive. We have contracts with BMW, General Motors, Honda. A lot of our steel goes into heavy equipment, such as JCB or Caterpillar. So a lot of really cool applications where our stuff is used. And you can see an overview here. As I said earlier, we're a growing company, and this is, we're all over North America. So if you're into getting out and being mobile and seeing what's out there, there are plenty of opportunities to do that at Nucor divisions all across our North American continent. These are some prospective career paths that we have here at Nucor. We can go from an engineering background, production and manufacturing, business and support, sales, and internships. So there's several different ways to get on at Nucor and begin your career, a successful career. So the types of entry-level jobs that we have, and these only require a GED or a high school diploma. So coming up here, I think in the June, July timeframe, you can look on our website on our careers page, and there will be a posting for manufacturing operator. And that's a application to get into what we call the job pool that can, and if you get into that job pool, then you can be pulled for interviews for any of these different utility jobs that you see here. We do that normally twice a year, so it'll be happening in the June, July timeframe, and then again in November, December of this year. So be on the lookout for that. If you decide to go the college route, we do offer internships in these fields: metallurgical, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, automation and software engineers, information technology, and also finance. And so there's opportunities to get exposure out here through college internships as well. These are some pretty cool programs that we have. Also, this Nucor Technical Academy is a pretty neat program. And this actually partners with our Tuscaloosa, Alabama plate mill. And so this is anybody with a high school diploma or GED that can apply to this. And the way this works is you attend Shelton State Community College, and you get an associate's degree in it to be an electrical technician. And it's similar to a co-op. So you're going to school and you're also working with our Nucor Tuscaloosa team. So it's a great way to get some on-the-job experience, as well as get that schooling background all in one. So a really neat program that we've been doing for several years now. Below that, you'll see this mechanical and electrical trainee program. These are a little bit newer. We've started these over the past couple years. And the way this works is folks that are already employed with Nucor out here at our Berkeley facility, if these teammates are in the production side and they want to get into maintenance, this is a partnership with Trident Technical College. So it's, again, a little bit of a hybrid. So you go to school and you get a certificate of industrial maintenance from Trident Technical College with 42 credit hours, and along with working in the mechanical or electrical field, whichever one that you apply to, if you're successful at getting that, successfully bidding on that job. So a really neat program, and we've already seen some fruits of this with getting some really highly trained electrical and mechanical technicians coming through there. We also have a lot of stuff, we call this business support, that's on the administrative side. So financial analysts, accounting, credit, purchasing, human resources, sales. So most of these require some kind of college degree in whatever field that's specific to that. So, but again, all these are very critical to us functioning as a business, and some great opportunities. The way we get paid is a little bit unique for the most part. Most of our operations, or all of our operations and maintenance teammates, get paid off of production. So the more we produce that's prime material, the more we get paid. And so it really incentivizes us to work together as a team and put the most product out we can, and quality product at that. And so, from that standpoint, there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and that's what really drives our improvement, to try to make things better. And you can see what that looks like on a yearly basis. Can give you a range there of what that typically looks like based on recent years and production levels. About 75 to 80 grand starting out with room to grow. So that's all I have as far as the presentation goes. I see a few questions here in the chat, if I can answer those.
Oh, I was still muted. Thanks so much, Russell, for all of that information. We did have some questions that have come on through the chat. First one, do you have any opportunities for welders at Nucor?
We don't have any job that's specific to a welder. However, we have mechanical technicians, and mechanical technicians is it's more of a broad thing, but those folks that are mechanical technicians will do lots of welding. So welding is definitely a skill that's valuable and needed out here. And it's expected from any mechanical technician we have, but we don't have people that all they do is just weld. It's more multifaceted than that. You'll be doing other mechanical things, repairs and whatnot, but welding is definitely a piece of that.
Great. Next question, how did you get your position? What steps did you take when you were first starting out?
Okay, yeah, so for me, the route I went was, I'm originally from Rock Hill, South Carolina. I went to the University of South Carolina to study mechanical engineering. So between my junior and senior year, Nucor was at our job fair, and I went to the job fair, talked with some current Nucor teammates, went through an interview process and had an internship. I was fortunate enough to get an internship down here at our Berkeley plant that summer. So once I completed that internship, I got an offer to come back full time and started out in an area of the mill out here in the mechanical department, doing some engineering and maintenance stuff. And then have since been able to promote through into leadership, into the supervisor role that I'm in right now. So that's been a little bit about my journey.
Great, thank you. Next question, what's your favorite part about working at Nucor?
Okay, yeah, this is by far the easiest question. Is absolutely working with the team that we have out here. It's great people. Anyway, I've worked in multiple different areas of the plant throughout my time here, and anywhere you go is awesome people. Make it fun to work, and if you really thrive in a team environment and working that way, Nucor would be a great place for you. So that's one thing that stands out above the rest is the team that we have here.
That's great. Another question said, which I think you might have mentioned that this is on your website, but how can I apply for internships or one of the training programs?
Okay. The internships, I can provide some contact information. Those typically don't get posted on our careers page. We normally go to, we've been going to College of Charleston, Citadel, University of South Carolina, a lot of these local colleges to recruit for our internship program. So that's the main way to get involved with that. The trainee program, the mechanical and electrical trainee, that's right now we're only offering that to folks that are already teammates out here. So that's not something that somebody externally can come in straight into one of those positions. It's more about training up the folks that we already have. The technical academy is something that's posted externally that I'm not 100% sure on the time frame, but I think it's normally posted in the spring or summer of each year as we try to get ready for that fall semester of starting out. But I can certainly get some clarity around that and reach back out to you, Paige, if you want to share it with folks.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. And I would, suggest everybody takes a look at the Nucor website. We'll drop that in the chat in a minute to look for other career opportunities and information that they put on there as well. So we are going to go ahead and wrap things up because we are right at the end of time. So thank you so much, Russell, for joining today and telling us about Nucor. We're going to go on a quick break and be back at 10:30 with Torre. Thanks so much, Russell.
Yes, thanks again, Paige, and hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks.
session of the day. Today, we have Torrey joining us, and we have Mary Bell, who is the Manager of Human Resources and General Affairs. Good morning, Mary. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
We will let you take it away.
Okay, great. Let me- Everyone see that? Okay, perfect. So this is a little bit about us. Toray Industries was started in 1926 in Japan. Our current president is Mr. Nakasu. Currently we operate in 29 different countries, and we have a little over 48,000 employees worldwide. We do about 20 billion net sales every year. This is a little bit of everything we make. So Toray started out making polymer fibers, and since then we have grown to make all kind of things. We make fibers, textiles, resins, plastics, filtration systems, composite materials, which our facility here in Spartanburg, South Carolina is a part of. And we also do things like filtration systems, and they go into products that we know and use every day. And I'll get into a little bit later about the things that we make, what we make here in Spartanburg goes into. So these are some of the carbon fiber facilities across the U.S. For the Toray Composite Materials America subsidiary, we have 3 facilities in the U.S. We have a corporate headquarters and pre-preg facility in Tacoma, Washington, a carbonization and spinning facility in Decatur, Alabama, and our new fancy shiny facility here in Spartanburg. And I call us new fancy shiny because we are the only facility outside of Japan for Toray that has all 3 processes to make carbon fiber under one roof here. And then you can see in that map that we have other carbon fiber facilities and sales offices and such spread across the U.S., St. Louis, California, Utah, Michigan, Dallas, Texas, really kind of all over. So this is a little bit more about our facility here. So we founded in 2015. We started up our facility in 2018. And then you can see there the different facilities we have for CMA. Our facility here has 1 precursor line. We also call it a spinning line, 1 carbonization line, and then 1 line of pre-preg materials. Now I have that one grayed out there because we haven't currently staffed that. That will be future production for us. And as it sits today, we can make about 2,000 metric tons of fiber per year. We have about 130 people that sit here. So there's just some pictures of our management team out in the front in our lobby. And this is a photo of our site overall. So everything here is very linear. It starts at the bottom or the top left of that photo and kind of works its way down the facility. So in the spinning or precursor side, what we do essentially is take a handful of different chemicals, combine them in a reaction process that creates a polymer. That polymer is extruded into a fiber. We call that polyacrylonitrile fiber. And then the next process, which we call carbonization, essentially what we're doing is burning off pure carbon fiber behind. And then what they do in pre-preg is they take that finished carbon fiber and lay it up in whatever capacity that the customer wants it. So we can actually sell our product at any part in this process. We sell PAN to different Toray subsidiaries around the world. Currently out of Spartanburg, we send most of what we make here to our Korea facility. Carbonization or pure carbon fiber we can sell. A lot of that is sold to our industrial customers like sports, manufacturing, pressure vessels, things like that. And then pre-preg is mostly sold to our aerospace customers, Boeing, SpaceX, Blue Origin, types like that. So we have 400 acres here. As you can see, we own everything from basically the road to the left all the way out to the tree line on the right. And like I said, what you see there is 1 line of everything. So we have plans for future growth to expand this building all the way out to that tree line. That'll be about 8 carbon fiber and pre-preg lines total once we get finished expanding. On the left side of that screen, you can see that we have several utility providers that have been built here to help provide us with what we need to produce our product. So we have a Duke Power substation, TGES is Tokyo Gas and Electric, and then Praxair. And they provide us with things obviously like power, deionized water, steam, really whatever we need. So from start to finish, it's 955 meters, which essentially equates to about 10 football fields. So get a lot of steps in walking around here. This talks a little bit more about the characteristics of carbon fiber itself and why suppliers choose to buy our product over making their things with like metal. So you can see that it's more lightweight. It's about the quarter of a weight of steel. So you can save a lot, specifically in energy reduction, like when you're building a plane, you know, a quarter of the weight saves you immense amount of money in gas. It's also 10 times as strong as steel. And there's a lot of corrosion resistance, so you don't have to worry about rust and other things like you do with other metals. And you can just kind of see how our fiber lines up against different glass fibers, steel and titanium and aluminum down there at kind of at the bottom of the screen. So these are some of the suppliers that we sell to. A lot of what our product goes into for Toray CMA as a whole is the Boeing program. So the Boeing 777, the 777X, and the Boeing 787. So in the photo at the bottom, you can see that it breaks it down by what that plane is made out of. Everything in black and that light blue color is Toray carbon fiber. It takes about 1 ton of our fiber to make each 787. So you can imagine that keeps us pretty busy. These are some of the current key military programs that we're a part of. There's a lot more. I just picked the top ones that I thought were interesting. So we go into a lot of different products. A lot of drones. We're actually in and working on an unmanned submarine, getting them the right fiber for that right now. So really kind of a lot of different applications there. And then these are just some others. So most of what comes out of the Spartanburg facility, other than our aerospace partners, is for pressure vessels, and then any kind of sports and industrial. A lot of it gets sold to Corvette. The new 2022 and 2023 Corvettes are made out of our fiber, and you can see there the hood takes 12 pounds, the fender takes 4, roof takes 13. So it kind of breaks it down by how much of each car part uses our fiber. One of the more exciting things that we're working on right now is urban air mobility. So we're working with several different manufacturers to get the right fiber resin combo to work for building some smaller air mobility around cities. These are just some of the benefits that we offer. So photos of our employees here. So you can see we offer medical, dental, vision. We give all of our employees free life insurance, free short-term and long-term disability. We have FSAs, HSAs, 401ks, employee assistance programs. But some of the things that I thought this group might be interested is our tuition reimbursement program. So after a year of employment here with Toray, you are eligible for this. We pay $5,000 a year for undergraduate degrees and $10,000 a year for graduate degrees. So if you came to me as an employee and said, hey, Mary, I work in production, but I really want to be an engineer, we would pay for you to go to school and then put you on track to be an engineer and be in that higher salary range. We also offer discounts with Verizon and AT&T, and we have this third-party program called Perks at Work that is free to all of our employees here, and you log in and basically get discounts on anything from appliances to cars to movie tickets to travel, really anything, and then you earn coins for buying through that program, and you can use those coins to buy more stuff, which is kind of a new. And these are some of the jobs that we pay for. So in the high school diploma GED range, that's kind of our entry-level positions. These include production technician, lab technicians, and then specialists for both of those areas. And they range anywhere from $22 to $35 an hour. So entry level would be 22, and we have a 2-year progression and then you would top out as a specialist at 35. And the next category is bachelor's degree, and this can be a wider range of things depending on what you're looking to go into. It could be engineering, could be management, accounting, any of those support functions like buyer, IT, human resources, production planning, software developing, and these can be a range of salaries anywhere from $70,000 to $150,000 a year. The associate's degree bucket includes people like our maintenance technicians, process engineering technicians, safety specialists, IT help desk, and these can range anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000. And then if you wanted to go into that graduate degree category, that includes things like senior management, executive level management, principal researchers, principal engineers, developmental scientists, things like that. And they make anywhere from $150,000 up from there. So if you're interested in learning more about Toray or applying to any of our positions, you can visit our website, toraycma.com. And if you're looking to go to the careers page, you can just do /careers. So I think that is all of my presentation. We have any
Yep,
questions?
looks great. Thanks so much. So everyone, please use the Q&A to put any questions that you have for Mary about Toray. So wanted to ask Mary, what is your favorite part about working at Toray?
Oh, my favorite part is the people that work here, which I know that I'm a little biased because I help hire them all. But we really do, since we are a smaller facility right now, we only have about 130 headcount. We are a very tight-knit group. I will say the second thing quickly behind that is being on the forefront of technology. We see, especially here, a lot of industries that have gone downhill. You don't see a lot of textile manufacturing anymore. You don't see a lot of paper manufacturing anymore, but we are really on that cutting edge of technology. We are creating things that will be used in the future, which I think is just really exciting to be a part of.
That's great. Another question. So I know you shared a lot of different products that your company helps produce by what you make, and it goes into airplanes and all of these other things. What do you think is the coolest or your favorite product that your company can claim that they are involved in? No, there's so many.
I know it's kind of a hard choice. I think from cool factor, the Corvette is a really cool product. We also, I didn't put a picture of it, but we produce a lot of fiber for Formula One cars. In Japan, we actually sponsor one. So you'll see a Toray Formula One car if you ever watch Japanese racing. But that's one of the things for the future. I think the most exciting thing that will be shared is the urban air mobility. And they're essentially just, I know it's a fancy word for like flying taxis. So there'll be short range trips in urban areas that help get you places faster.
That's great. That's really cool. So it looks like for most of your positions, you at least need to have a high school diploma. Is that correct?
Correct. Everything here, you at least have to have a high school diploma. And if you have that, you can get into any of those jobs I talked about before. So those are entry level production and lab technician positions.
Great. And so what would you recommend high schoolers, if they're interested in working at Toray once they graduate? Is there anything they can do in high school right now that might help them get ready for a career there?
I would say definitely for us, we like to hire for person, right? So I want to make sure, since we are a smaller group, that you're going to fit culturally in our group here. So making sure that you have those soft skills, right? Being able to get along with others and communicate well with others is very important here. Our work groups, each department, are fairly small, so each shift has about 6 people on it. Some of the other ones are larger, but the smaller groups are 6 per person. So it's really important that you be able to communicate well with those in your group.
That's great. And do you have any, and I think you have mostly full-time positions, do you have any internship or apprenticeship programs at Toray?
I wish we did, but we do not. I like to describe us as the Ferrari of carbon fiber. So with that being said, that means that we are on ultra lockdown for all of our proprietary information. So anything that is shared here stays with Toray employees. Even visitors don't usually get past the lobby unless you have special approval from our president. So we're not allowed to have any interns or anything like that. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you full time.
That's great. What kind of a question about work expectancy, kind of, do you have multiple shifts working at your factory? Is something that you guys do is run 24/7, or do you typically, 8 to 5? What do jobs look like at Toray?
Gotcha. There's a little bit of everything. So in our production and quality labs, we run 24/7. We don't shut down for any holidays because that whole building is a machine. And it runs simultaneously. So I like to explain our production technicians as more as troubleshooters. So as long as the line runs fine, they have a fairly easy day, but they're there and ready in case something does happen. That being said, we have 4 different shifts for our shift production. and they run 12 hours, and they run on a 2-2-3 schedule, and then they rotate days to nights. So it can be kind of confusing to explain via person, but that's just our production. We also have some day crews that in both departments that handle things. All of our maintenance jobs work days, Monday through Friday, and then all of our support staff works days, Monday through Friday as well.
Great. Another question about, what to expect. If one of the students who are joining and getting out of high school and looking to apply, I think you said that their jobs will be posted on your career site. Is that the only place that you recruit from in South Carolina?
Gotcha. We also advertise our jobs on Indeed, so you can find them there. But essentially that will link you back to our website. So everyone who wants to put an application in at some point has to go through our website. So I usually say that's the best place to go.
Great. And we'll put the website in the chat for everyone to go ahead and grab after this, and we can send it out as well for looking up those opportunities. Mary, is there any other advice you would have for high school students who are looking to come in and going through kind of their first interview process that are going to be trying to maybe go after these beginning level jobs? I know that you said you really look for the best kind of fit in with the company since you're, but what other kind of things do you look for? Are resumes important? What other work experience things do you look for in a candidate when you're hiring?
We're looking for a lot of stability. So definitely if you can show, even if it's not a typical job that you've been in, if you can show on your resume that you have consistency in what you do, that's really important, right? So because from my perspective, if I'm hiring you, I want you to make sure that you're coming to work every day and that you're going to show, I feel good that you're going to show up. And that you're going to be with me for a long time, because I don't want to have to refill your position if you get in trouble for attendance or you have other things going on. So I want to make sure that on that resume that you can see, that I can see that you have consistency and prove that to us. And then when you come into interview, making sure that you're talking to that. Because coming out of high school, like, we understand you're not going to have as much job experience, which is fine. We don't expect you to. You're coming out of high school. But if you can prove to us that you're going to be a consistent employee and show up, I think that if you can get that to come across in a resume, that would be absolutely fantastic.
That's great. All right. Well, it looks like we have answered all the questions that have come in, and so we can wrap things up just a minute or two early. So thank you so much, Mary, for joining today. We have really appreciated you taking the time out of your day to join us, and thanks so much for letting us know about Toray.
You're so welcome. And if anybody is interested, I actually just posted a entry-level production technician position this morning. So go on our website, check it out if you're interested.
That's great. And I just put the careers website in the chat for everyone as well. So go ahead and save that link and use it if you are interested in working at Toray. All right, everyone. So that is the final session for today. So it has truly been a pleasure hosting all of you here, from our attending students in the classrooms to employers who took the time out of their busy day to share the importance of their industry here in South Carolina. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has made this event possible. Again, we'd like to thank the session hosts, the participants for sharing their experience. A special thanks to SC Future Makers, the Department of Commerce in South Carolina, and the Council on Competitiveness for their participation in today's event. We will be sending our recording of this event and resources for any of the sessions next week. So please keep a lookout for an email from Team Tallow. On the behalf of SC Future Makers Initiative and Tallow, we thank you again for joining SC Days Manufacturing and Logistics. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.